Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. I am Rachel from Rachel Reads, and if you're new here then welcome. I also just want to stop and say thank you so much to all of my new subscribers. I hit 30 subscribers yesterday, which I know doesn't sound like a lot to many of you, but for me it is heaps and it means the world to me, so thank you so much to all of 30 of you. And if you're new here, please subscribe so you can keep up to date, and make sure you're commenting so I know that you're here. I appreciate it so much and I love interacting with all of you. So in case you haven't figured it out from the video, today I'm going to be talking about my 11. I don't know why I picked 11, but I was going through my bookshelves and 11, I just couldn't seem to get rid of one. So I'm going to be talking about my 11 favorite books / series from my childhood. When I say childhood, the books that I picked are quite vague. Some of them are from when I was like a really small child, like 5 or 6, up until when I was about 14 or 15. So without further ado, let's get into it. Before we get started, these books are in no particular order, but I'm going to talk about why I like them so much and why I still have my copy. All of these, I have my very loved copies in front of me and I will never get rid of, even though my boyfriend thinks that they're a waste of space. Sorry babe. So since I just did my intro, I've actually decided to go to 12 books because yeah. Anyway, the first one that I must start with, I'm sure is no surprise. What you might be surprised by is in how good condition this book is, and that is Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. So this one here represents the entire Harry Potter series. So this book actually has only been read once or twice. The rest of my Harry Potter books have been read multiple times. I just had the Philosopher's Stone read to me in school, and yeah, I just never really reread this one. I was always rereading Chamber of Secrets, Goblet of Fire, like pretty much from Chamber 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. They're the ones that I reread. I didn't really reach for 1 and 2 very often, and I don't know why that is. Yeah, I just didn't reach for these very often. But I loved the Harry Potter books. I got invested in them in grade 3. So if you are unaware, when I was in grade 3, I moved house. I moved from a little place called Cranbourne, which is in the southeast of Melbourne, up to Bright, which is in the northeast of Victoria. It's a little country town. And when I left my primary school in Cranbourne, our teacher was reading us this book. And when we got to Bright, the new teacher started reading us this, and I think it was just a little connection, and that's why I fell so deeply in love with it. At the end of grade 3, my teacher was about 3/4 of the way through Prisoner of Azkaban. We didn't get it finished before the Christmas holidays, and I called my grandma up and I begged her to buy it for me for Christmas because I had to know how it ended. And yeah, ever since then, it was our thing. She always bought me the next Harry Potter book, which I think I have talked about on this channel, and they just have a really special place in my heart, the Harry Potter books. So that's one of my childhood favorites. The next one that I'm going to talk about is, I just grabbed one of these books, and these are not the books that I had as a child. My grandmother actually had those books. I purchased these a few years ago, and they're the Enid Blyton Wishing Chair books. It would also include the Faraway Tree. So I never actually read these myself. These were always read to me by my grandparents and my teachers actually, and they're just such beautiful stories that I love them, and it's something that I look forward to reading to my own children. So I do have a copy of these, and I'm looking forward to reading to my nieces and nephews. I think they're just such beautiful children's stories, and yeah, I love Enid Blyton. I think from now I might just go in chronological order, sort of when I started reading the books. So the next sort of books that I fell in love with as a child was the Pony Pal books. This is the first one in a series called I Want a Pony. I have about 40 of these on my shelves. Some are double ups. I love how these have like little pictures, and yeah, they're just such beautiful stories, and they have like little maps. I used to ride ponies when I was a little girl, and I think that's why I like these so much. I was part of one of those scholastic book clubs where you got a new one delivered every month, and I loved them. I remember when I first started reading these, because they were chapter books, I felt so clever and so special. And yeah, I loved these Pony Pal books. And I slowly started to graduate to other books such as The Phantom Horse, and I loved these books. These are beautiful books if you haven't heard of them. I think I actually got these in my Scholastic book club with the Pony Pals, possibly. Maybe with the Saddle Club. These are a little bit more advanced. And there you can see I used to have a little sticker book that said Rachel, even though it's spelt wrong. And I used to stick those in all my books, and it is so loved. Like, it's so damaged and the spine is falling apart, but I will never get rid of it. So these are about a little girl who moves to a new town, and so she moves to, I think it was Arizona. I can't remember where in Arizona that she moved to. Anyway, she moved to Arizona, Tucson. She moved to Tucson, Arizona. And the house that she lived in, you know, there used to be a horse there, and the horse passed away, and there's that goat, the ghost of the horse, and every night she and the horse go riding. So there was about 3 of these books, so I really loved them. They were beautiful little books, great for children. And you know, if I tried to reread this, it would probably fall apart, but I just couldn't possibly get rid of it. So I was reading those when I was probably about 7, I think. Maybe a little bit older, I'm not sure. Probably the next books that I sort of started reading would be like the Mega Sleepover Club books. I like these books. They were just so funny and so cute. And they're probably the first English books that I read, and they're just so funny and so cute. I didn't have a lot of these. I bought quite a few of like the mega editions, but you got 3 or 4 books, and I really like these. I thought they were really cute. And then a TV show came out and I loved them. That was the Mega Sleepover Club. They're probably not my super favorites, but I thought they were really cute. The next books that I probably started reading would be the Saddle Club books. This is not number 1. I couldn't actually find number 1 on my shelf. This is number 3, which is Horse Sense. I have about 50 of these. Yeah, I started reading them after the TV show came out, I think, maybe before, I don't remember. But they're cute little horse books, and they were probably like the next a step or 2 up from the Pony Pals. They're a little bit more sophisticated. The girls are a little bit older, and I really did like those. Then along comes the Babysitters Club. This, if you believe it or not, is actually my second copy of the first one. That's how much they've been loved. I did actually buy all of these secondhand, because when I was growing up, I think they were out of print, so I had to get them all secondhand. Opening the front cover there, it's almost falling apart, like it's hanging on by some tape. I loved the Babysitters Club books. I have 100 of them probably. I just loved the predictability of them. Like, there was always, you know, there was some sort of girl problem, there was a babysitter's problem, and everything was just always so fixable, and everyone was so happy. I liked them. It was one of the first times I really wanted to move to America. Yeah, I loved them. They were so cute. Who doesn't love the Babysitters Club? After that probably came all of the Mary Kate and Ashley books for me. My cousin and I, Kate, if you're watching, hello. My cousin and I went through a big Mary Kate and Ashley fangirl moment towards the end of primary school, so it probably would have been like grade 5, grade 6 when I was loving these. I read all of the Two of the Kind books again. See a little Rachel sticker in there. I read all of the Two of a Kind books, then the So Little Time books and the 16 books. They're the only ones I read. I have a bunch of them. They're just cute little girl stories about, you know, young teenagers going to middle school, finding your first boyfriend, that sort of thing, and I really like them. They're just sweet and funny, and they tied into the TV shows. Then for me came the Mediator books. So this is number 5, Graved Out. So this is one of the older versions. There's a newer version now released. I don't know what it's got a different title. This is the first one that I got, and I fell in love with this book. I think I got it when I was in grade 5, and it took me years to find another one in this series, and then when I did, I bought them all. I love these books so much. It's about a teenage girl who moves from New York to Carmel in California. in Northern California, and she can see ghosts, and she falls in love with a ghost called Jessie, and they're just great books. And you can see, again, I bought this book brand new. It is so loved and withered, and yeah, I wonder if this has got a Rachel sticker on it. No, it doesn't, but it has a lot of watermarks damage because I used to read these in the bath. But yeah, Grave Doubts by Meg Cabot. I love them. Speaking of Meg Cabot, I like quite most of her like Middle Ages books. So this one is All American Girl. I think I've talked about this before on my channel. It is a book about a teenage girl who saves the life of the president by accident, and then she meets his son and they fall in love, and you know, it's just a cute story, nice and funny. She's like obsessed with the band No Doubt, and yeah, it's just really cute. I liked it. Then I had the Charmed books. I actually don't remember when I started reading these. It would have been in primary school. Show Charmed was still on, so I think it was probably around grade 5, grade 6, maybe year 7. I didn't have a heap of these books, but I did like them. They were quite easy to read, and they were probably my first books where I read and where the main character was an adult. But I did really like these books. I don't know where you could get them from now. I have about 6 or 7 of them, and I did really like them. The next books that I enjoyed, these are more that I studied in early high school, probably year 7 or year 8, was the Georgia Nicolson Diaries. So this is the first one that I got, which I think is number 5, which is Then It Fell Off in My Hand. No, sorry, Then He Ate My Boy in Trances. There is one that's called Then It Fell Off in My Hand. It's about, you know, a British girl who's about 15 and her diaries, and she's just funny, and she's just a bit strange and funny and obsessed with boy crazy, and I just really enjoyed these when I was a kid. And last but not least, one of my favorite books as a child. I read these, I had to read this as a school book when I was in year 9, and it is Tomorrow When the War Began. This is an Australian coming of age book. It's about several Australian teenagers that go away camping. They're about 17, they're underage. They go camping for a week in the Australian bush in the summertime, and when they come back, Australia has been thrown into war, and everyone they know has been captured, and they go and camp out in the bush, and then they decide that they really need to try and win back some land and save their families. So they become guerrillas and, you know, blow things up and get involved. So there's 7 books in this series. I think I read them all in about a month. I love them so much. And there's a follow-up series called the Ali Chronicles, which is what happens after the war. And I'm not going to give too much spoilers, but about how the main character Ali and how she copes after the war, because a lot of terrible things actually happen to poor Ali. I like this book. It's really well written. It's written by John Marsden, so he writes the character of Ali really well and her friends really well. And I think it deals with some really important elements for high schoolers, such as death and loss and coming of age and responsibility, and what happens when you lose technology and access to food and you lose your parents. Like, how do you cope? And I think this is just so well done. I know that currently at the school that I teach at, they teach this in year 8. I wouldn't recommend it for kids that age. I'd probably say year 9 or year 10 would be good for this book if you're going to study it. If you're just going to read it like as an adult, go for it. I come back and reread these quite often. Very different covers now. I've got different covers for most of the series. Like, I think I've got 3 different editions, which kind of annoys me, but again, I love the books. Some of my favorites. There's some of the other books in the series. So the second one is The Dead of the Night, The Third Day of the Frost, Darkness Be My Friend, Burning for Revenge, The Night is for Hunting, The Other Side of Dawn. And then you have in the Ali Chronicles, While I Live, Incurable, and Circle of Light. So they are my 12 favorite books as a child. I really loved all of those books, and I'm glad I got to share them with you. Let me know if you've read any of those books or if they hold any special memories for you. Have you still got all of your childhood books? The only books that I seem to have lost in the move and like since I left my parents' house was my Goosebumps books, but I'm not hugely worried about that. They're not books that I was really connected to. All of the books that I was really connected to, I've just sort of spoken to you about, and I've got all of those. If I lost them, I'd probably be heartbroken. And they're books that I'll keep going back to and rereading over and over again. So let me know if you've read any of them. If you haven't, you know, I recommend all of them, even as adults. What are some of your favorite books? Comment down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Like this video and subscribe, and I will catch you next time. Bye.